Welcome to the Smash Brothers Basement Podcast, your back-end source for all things Smash Brothers related.
Alright, hey guys, what's up, and welcome back.
What's up, hackers?
To our next episode of the Smash Basement Podcast, episode 2. And we've got a couple of topics here, and the first one is that Panda Global, love them or hate them, they got some really strong players, but they have just recently turned 2 years old, which, as a team that is really just kind of doing Smash Brothers and fighting games and stuff, is really cool.
Really young.
Yeah, it's well, not for like a fighting game team, but it's really cool
really
that they're
old.
turning that they're turning 2 years old. So they just turned 2.
Congrats.
And they are now announcing a new Splatoon team, which has one player right now, and he's the captain. I'm guessing that the team is not actually, in order, and I'm guessing that people aren't like playing yet. But they should have a Splatoon team soon, so it'll be pretty cool to see if they actually end up getting a Splatoon team. So their website's all redesigned.
Splatoon or Splatoon 2?
Splatoon 2.
Heck.
Well,
I was going to join Panda Global for Splatoon 1.
Yeah, we're all sad. Those of us who do not have Switches are extremely sad that we cannot play in Splatoon in their professional Splatoon 1 team. So that's really cool. And also, what's really cool is that recently, Salem just won EVO, and a ton of people are, really hyped about it. And it was a really cool victory. He won over Zero, and he proved to the world that, Bayonetta is still up there. And a lot of people have different opinions about Bayonetta, but no matter what character he would have been using, Bayonetta or not, he had a very tough loser's run. And I think that that victory was very well earned. He had to fight, I believe, Nairo and Tweak, and then leading up to Zero. So that was really cool. And then at DreamHack Austin, which was just recently, which is not too long after EVO.
Not too long.
Yeah, not too long after EVO. I actually watched the losers finals of him versus Tweak and the grand finals of him versus Void, and it was a really cool set, and Salem also ended up taking that as well. So that is right now 2 S-tier events. I believe DreamHack is S-tier because I know that the last DreamHack on DreamHack Austin was A-tier. However, I heard one of the commentators say, I think it was EE and TK Breezy who were commentating, but one of them said, oh man, when Void was, kind of winning in the fight, that, this could be his first S-tier event. So, if that is true, then Salem right now has 2 S-tier events under his belt.
Yeah.
And on the last PGR, he was actually ranked 11th, and personally, I don't think that he was that. I think that he was definitely a top 10 player, and with a positive X factor, I have it right here. He has an X factor of He has an X factor of +2, so meaning that some other people definitely shared my same opinion. But with 2 I think that he could have been a top 5 player. But with these 2 S-tier events under his belt, if he keeps up a decently good, tournament count and a decently good set count throughout the rest of the year, I think that he definitely has the potential to be ranked top 5. And I personally think that right now he's probably a top 5 player with these amazing performances that we've seen. And to any of you out there who haven't watched the whole DreamHack Atlanta sets, I also said DreamHack Austin there, but for any of you who haven't seen the DreamHack Atlanta sets, the grand finals, as I just said, was Void versus Salem. And that may sound kind of weird because in an S-tier event, you're like, grand finals is Zero versus whoever comes up in loser's bracket. But that was actually not the case, because Zero was actually defeated by Samsora, who is currently like the world's best Peach. And it was a pretty hype match, and Samsora managed to win that. And it was really cool, and I know he was very happy on Twitter that he had been able to beat Zero. And I don't know if that was the match that knocked him out of the tournament or not. But I know that was one of his losses. I don't know if that threw him into loser's bracket or if that knocked him out of the tournament. But that was a really cool match. And it just shows how, if you main an odd character, you could possibly take sets off of even the best player in the world. So that was really cool. And overall, DreamHack Atlanta was a very, very exciting tournament. I was rooting for my boy Tweak. And sadly, he was not able to beat Salem. I didn't think that he would be able to beat Salem. Salem's just way too good. But he ended up losing to Salem, and Salem ended up beating Void, and that was the tournament. So it was a really cool tournament. I would highly recommend that you go back and that you watch the sets. But Aiden, how do you think, or how do you feel that these two S-tier event wins for Salem will fare in the next Panda Global ranking? I'm guessing it's going to be around end of 2017 with the way that it's looking.
Easy.
But yeah, do you think that
top 4?
Do you think he's going to get like 5 or 4 or possibly even 3 just from these 2 wins, or do you think he still has to climb up further?
Easy. As 2 S-tier things, definitely top 3, 4, or 5.
Yeah.
Probably 4.
Yeah, I think that he'd probably be 4 as well. And especially with the sort of, sporadic nature of Smash 4 and of the Panda Global rankings and stuff. Like, you had MK Leo being ranked 2nd, and when he was being ranked 2nd when he was ranked in the PGR version 3, and he did win a lot of events. But you see right now, even when the PGR V3 came out, when they were making it, I believe he probably was maybe not the 2nd best player in the world, but he was up there. But when Leo, by the time that the PGR version 3 came out, Leo was not at all performing. And right now, I don't think he's performing anywhere close to the 2nd best player in the world. And that's the whole nature of Smash 4. You have your ups and you have your downs. You had 2nd best player in the world right now I don't think, unless he makes some sort of comeback, I don't think that he's going to get back up there in the next PGR. You had Ally, who was also the 2nd best player in the world, drop down as well. And it's just, it's a really sporadic thing. And I feel like overall, Salem's been very, very consistent. And I think he's really only been passed by, like, people who are up and coming. Like, you have Captain Zach, who is currently, was the best Bayonetta in the world at the time of the PGR V3.
Yep.
It's up for debate now, but he was the best Bayonetta player in the world, and he was ranked higher than Salem. He was ranked at, I believe, number 8. But he was ranked a lot higher, and I think right now he's not at that level yet, and it's just very sporadic, And
Definitely.
It tends to favor wins more than losses, because of course there is the set count versus the top 10, but if you're in the top 10, that generally doesn't matter a ton, and especially if you're in top 20, or if you're in the top 15 range, I'd say more so, wins are counted a lot greater than losses are. So, Leo doing really badly at all of these tournaments, like at 2GG Civil War, at all the other recent tournaments that I can't really think of. He probably didn't do too good at DreamHack Atlanta. I don't know about his Evo placings, but you got all these events that he's won. You've got events that you've got these big finishes, such as winning Genesis 4, getting 3rd at Nairo Saga, getting 2nd at CEO, 1st at Umebura, Japan, the Japan major, getting all these really good placings, and then you've got all these not super good placings. And then, I'm sorry, I was reading the thing wrong as far as the X Factor goes. I was reading the increase, not necessarily the X Factor. So Salem actually does not have an X Factor of positive 2. He actually has an X Factor of -12. So people seem to think that he's not even a top 20 player back at the time of making this, and he's gone from, in many people's opinions, to becoming a top 20 player with an X Factor of -12 from 11 to being possibly top 5 right now. So it's just a very sporadic. That's like the nature of the game, you know. It's very sporadic, but I feel like he's one of the players who will remain very, very consistent. Although you never know. Everyone thought that Ally was going to be a very consistent player, but as we can see right now, he's at 5th right now. He's sitting at 5th from his 2nd place, and he's not doing nearly as well as he was before, you know. But you do have people like DeBuzz and Nairo and Zero, obviously, but you do have people like DeBuzz and Nairo who are, you know, rocking it in, you know, the top 5 and have just been in there for a while. And it's just it's really cool to see, you know, the different types of players and, you know, the different characters that they main, and how that affects, you know, their performance. Like you see Leo was maining Marth, and which is a very, and now he really doesn't, but Marth was a very weird character, so he was able to win a bunch of events, and everyone underestimated Marth. So now you're coming back and you're seeing him not even picking his Marth most of the time, picking Cloud, which is a character that is very, very hard to be successful with these days, because everyone knows how to fight Cloud. The meta is very edgeguard focused, so Cloud gets beat out a lot of the times. And you've also got Meta Knight, who was extremely dominant back before the Meta Knight nerf. I believe it was 1.1.5, which nerfed Meta Knight and Luigi. And everyone learned Meta Knight at the time, and now his playstyle's very linear, so there's not much, you know, room for growth there. So you've got people like Leo with Marth not doing as consistent, but then you've got the consistent characters such as Zero Suit Samus and Rosalina that are very, very consistent. But I think that Salem could be very consistent with Bayonetta, because I feel like Bayonetta is kind of, it's weird because I don't think that she's necessarily one of the characters where it's like you can only go up from here. I feel like people are getting better against Bayonetta, but at the same time, he's getting so much better as well as a player, and getting better against the top 10, and, you know, finding these new ways to use Bayonetta. So I feel like he kind of innovates where a lot of the other Bayonettas lack, and not to insult people like Captain Zack, but I feel like it really shows with how consistent he is with going to all these events and winning things like Evo and DreamHack Atlanta. It's just really cool to see how he can innovate and push forward the whole Bayonetta scene, and where you've seen many other people fall off, people such as, you know, Pink Fresh and do you know who the other Bayonetta main was? I think he was Japanese, but
I don't remember.
Before Captain Zack, but it's cool to see how he can innovate and push the Bayonetta game, and I feel like he really does deserve that spot right there. So let's also talk about another character and more food for thought, especially, you know, for you, Aiden. I want to get your opinion on some of this. On the next character, which will be CLG's Void, and he had an amazing match at he had an amazing match at DreamHack Atlanta. I would highly recommend that you would go back and watch that, and I got to see it live, and it was amazing. Even though he lost to Salem, it was still an incredible match, and I was very, very surprised to see how well Void was performing, because he was on the winner's side, meaning that he never lost a whole match, and he had won, I believe directly won, against people like Nairo and DeBuzz, or at least against a decent amount of good high-level, you know, top 10 and top 5 players that he had to beat, and he didn't lose at all, except when it came to versing Salem in grand finals. You know, and he was on a roll, and I just talked about Salem. But Void is really, especially with his Sheik right now, I mean, remember when Void played Mewtwo a few times? Void playing Mewtwo, and he still has Fox as a secondary that he goes occasionally, but I feel like Void is going to be a upcoming threat as well in the top 10 in the he could possibly break top 10 because he got second at DreamHack Atlanta, losing to Salem. So because he's got that second place at an S tier event, it's just really cool to see him up and coming. And I believe this was him versus Salem, but I think how it was going was that he was like forward throwing him and then forward airing him and then like bouncing fishing. Oh no, I don't know what he was doing. He was like forward airing and then bouncing and then hitting him with a bouncing fish, and then he went back on stage and then he nared it and then he hit him with a bouncing fish, and he got like 4 bouncing fishes in a row on the Bayonetta. But it's not like Salem was just walking into it. Like, he was doing it in different ways every single time, and he did like 2 hits into a bouncing fish, and he did it like 4 times, and it was just insane, some of the combos that he was pulling off. So I feel like Void has been practicing a lot, and he's got a lot of personal improvement to do. But I feel like if he really focuses hard, that he can probably beat mostly anyone that he wants to. If he works hard enough, he could even beat some of the top players, such as Zero, because I believe he did fight Nairo and Dabuz at DreamHack Atlanta. So it's really cool to see up and coming players and see sort of different consistencies. And the thing is that in Smash 4, it's like a lot of your results and how well people see you is how many tournaments you go to and how many you win. Like, you don't have to go to every local, right? But you pretty much have to go to every single S tier event to be good and consistent in the people's eyes. You have to go to pretty much every single S tier event, and you got to go to most A tier events, or at least most of the notable ones. So it's just a really kind of sporadic scene that Smash 4 has, and it's just really cool to see how really anyone can win, even at big events like EVO and DreamHack. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where Salem and Void place next. And do you have any thoughts on maybe where Void will be placed in the next PGR if, let's say that he doesn't get any better than second place at an S tier event? Let's say that he doesn't do any better than second place at an S tier event. Do you think he'll make top 10? He's 13 right now.
I think he'll make top 10.
All right. I feel like he will probably win more events, probably win a few A tiers. But I feel like he will continually do better. But hopefully he doesn't do a ton. Hello, Steven. We are currently filming a
What's up, Hacker?
We're currently filming a podcast, so...
Oh, luckily I didn't say, yo, what up, hackers, this time.
Oh, no, Aiden already said that twice this time. So...
More than that.
Yeah, I think it was like 3 or 4 times, counting the one that you just said. So now let's talk about something a bit less analytical, and let's talk about, Smash 4 has tons of teams, right? And Aiden, if you were playing Smash 4, which team would you want to sponsor you? Which do you think? And you can't pull a Mewtwo King and have 2 teams because you're technically partnered with one and sponsored by the other, but they're really both sponsoring you.
Is Zero is still TSM or whatever?
Yeah,
it is,
Zero is
right?
still TSM.
TSM.
Yeah. What do you think, team? Solo mid. Which team do you think?
TSM, easy.
Probably, yeah.
Give me money.
Personally, there's a lot of good different teams, but I feel like, and I believe Zero is the only Smash 4 player sponsored by TSM. So you hear about this guy, AnimedanTV, who's at local tournaments, is Marth, and he's sponsored by Team Solo Mid. That'd be pretty crazy to see. You got this Team Solo Mid sponsored guy just coming up and beating this one duck hunt. You know, there's this random duck hunt. You know, and you beat him. Remember that? Those are some very
pretty crazy,
very notable set victories, very hype matches. He only hit himself with the can like 5 times, so which was less than his last match. But
he's pretty furious.
Yeah, pretty furious. So personally, for me, if I had to pick a team, I would probably, if I can't co-sponsor, I would probably pick either like Panda Global or MVG. Because with Panda Global you get like access to like all the stats and stuff, you know, like I mean Esam gets to put out his video of the Panda Global rankings and of his opinions and of the tier lists the day that they come out. I mean obviously you can't like leak them early or anything, but he can do it the day that they come out, so that'd be really cool. And you know you got the Panda Global teams of Esam and MVD, so maybe I could team with him. You never know how good double Pika in doubles could be, but either that or MVG, because you know they have like, I don't know if it's like a house or not, but they have like they post out a ton of content, they stream, and you know I've seen Salem hang out with like Mewtwo King, and you know the whole MVG crew, you know, hangs out. And it looks like a really fun place to be, you know, to hang out at MVG. And I know that if ever, you know, a better team wanted to sponsor me, you know, I could pull a Mewtwo King and I could be like, hey, you know, Echo Fox or Team Liquid or any of the guys who are probably a better team than you wants to sponsor me. And I really want to take up this offer, but you guys are really cool. So we're going to pull some legal crap, right? And make we're technically business partners, not sponsors, right? So I can have 2 sponsors, you know? But it just seems, if you've watched any of the MVG streams, it's really cool to see, because, you know, it's a lot of times it's just, you know, father and son bonding between Mewtwo King and Wizrobe, you know, playing some Melee or whatever, you know, practicing tech for like hours on end, you know, as they do, you know, baby Papa Robot and, you know, baby Robot, Mewtwo King and Wizrobe. But then it just seems like a pretty cool place to be, you know, and you definitely gotta advertise, you know, that whole MVG thing. You gotta wear shirts, you gotta wear hats, you know, you gotta wear everything to sponsor your team. Although if I was on Team Liquid, I could like film like a rap video that's like the whitest thing ever, announcing that I'm on Team Liquid, you know, and I could get like Chillin' Dude with me, and he'd be like, yo, this is we need some ice to put out this fire beat. Hey, Chudak,
the whitest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah,
nobody can handle my swing.
That would be very cool. So yeah. And that was a more lighthearted topic, you know, a less analytical thing. You know, we like to have fun. You know, we like to have fun here.
Winky face.
Smash Basement Podcast. Winky face. So,
do you want to keep going, or is enough?
You know what? Let's end it right here. We are just hitting the 23-minute mark. And I feel like this is a pretty good time to go ahead and end this podcast. So, if you are watching or listening and you like this content, go ahead.
I feel bad for you.
Yeah, we all feel very bad for you, but go ahead and leave a like and subscribe to me so that I know if I should like actually care about this podcast.
No,
frankly I don't. So if a few more people, you know, subscribe to me, I might make another one. I don't know.
If we get 10 likes,
if we can get 10
I'll
likes,
do the same intro as last time.
Yeah, if we can get 10 likes on this video, AnimedanTV will do the same intro as last time on all of the Smash Basement podcasts.
You're probably not gonna get 10 likes.
Forever. I'm probably not gonna get 10 likes. But if you're watching this in the future and this podcast either sucks or it doesn't suck, let's shoot for 10,000 likes, and Aiden will stream it.
And if you're Jubji and you comment on this video the second after it comes out, I just want you to know I hate you. No.
Yeah, but he's not going to do that because he won't be able to make it to the end of this video. So that is going to be it for today. Hopefully you guys are having a really great time, and yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy the podcast.